And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Beyond the 90. Thank you for checking in. Leicester have just drawn away to Burnley 1-1. We've got Rich, Alex with us as per usual. So thanks you guys once again. Rich, over to you. What are your initial thoughts of the match and where do we go from here?
Initially, I was I still think I'm disappointed because I think we should be beating Burnley, to be honest with you. I think hopefully that goal will give Iheanacho a bit of confidence because that reminded me of the West Brom goal for Jamie Vardy. But there's still a lot of concern. However, I still think that is not. There's nothing that Brendan can do about that. It is to do with the injuries and things that I'm sure we're going to talk about. So my initial feelings are slightly disappointed, but to be fair, at least we didn't lose. So you know what? Let's take that.
Yes, and that's the whole point. That's what I think as well. Just in terms of what happened, I think it's a great performance. Over to you, Alex. What are your thoughts on the match just overall?
Overall, I'm quite content with this performance. You know, when you're decimated with injuries the way that Leicester have been, pulling out a point is much better than losing, entirely. So, you know what, especially when you're going up against Burnley. Burnley seems to have our number. You know, Chris Wood always seems to score against us, so we're very fortunate that he didn't score. But, just to get a point out of this game, I kind of viewed these next two games as, if we pull four points, or even if we get 2 draws out of these next 2 games, I'll consider it a victory, considering the amount of injuries we've had. So, I'm going to take this as a win for us. It could have gone far worse, and a point's a point. We're at 50 points now in the season. That's fantastic.
Yeah, totally. And I didn't even know we're on 50 points. Again, that is probably good news. Hopefully, depending on if other results go our way, but I think you're right. I was surprised that Brendan Rodgers didn't make more substitutions and more changes to the team. However, I think he was being a bit overly cautious. I'm just hoping, Rich, that doesn't come back to bite us later. I would have preferred to see Tavares start. I would have preferred. I don't want to harp too much on this, but I looked at them and went, oh, if any of the, because for example, Ricardo went down in the 76 minute, and I nearly cried because I thought, I was like, oh no, we can't lose another player, But so what did you think of the initial starting lineup? Because it was basically, can you play in that position? Okay, you'll fit, you'll do. Just cram everybody in.
It was the problem is, so hindsight is brilliant. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, etc. It's one of those that, let's say, what I think he was planning on is, right, let's make sure we get to half-time, 60 minutes, 0-0. I think that's what he was planning. And then let's bring on the likes of Tavares. Let's bring on these players that are going to, put the energy on, which they did. They changed it. Mark Albrighton changed the game. Let's be honest about this. So I think that he had that plan to go, right, let's keep that defensive structure. Let's keep safe. Let's try and stop Woods, Wood scoring, and let's just go in 0-0. And then when we're ready to bring on these substitutions, let's change the formation and let's really go for it. Unfortunately, we conceded after 3 minutes, and then it was all of a sudden, it was like, oh, damn, we've got all these defensive players on and, no real spot moving forward. And it took a wonder goal from Iheanacho to get us back on. So yes. I think, to be honest with you guys, I think Brendan Rodgers is damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. Because if the plan had have worked, let's say we're looking at this now and it had gone, obviously I don't know the plan, but let's say it was the plan, and we get to 0-0 at half time, and then 60 minutes he makes those 3 substitutions, we go on and win it 1-0. We're sitting here going, what a masterclass. Yes. Unfortunately, a player that's not scored in however many minutes suddenly finds his scoring boots, and Hamza plays a ridiculous pass, and it's one of those things that it was a culmination of events that led to that goal. So he is damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. No matter what he does, there's 1,000 fans on Twitter kicking off at him. So he can't win even if we win, because then they're still saying, well, we could have won by more if we'd have played under and if we'd have played Tavares at the start. So, it was, I think, like I said, I think he had that plan. Unfortunately, it didn't work. But, when you've got Premier League players passing it directly to the opponent's attackers, what can you do? Because that, you cannot put that on Brendan Rodgers. And you also can't put it on injuries or, tired legs. That's a genuine mistake that, happens every few games. It just happens.
Yes, and I don't want to harp on him for too long because, again, people have mentioned already. I've already been called out to the fact that I'm going to defend Hamza Chowdhury. Normally I would, but thanks for the comment, but I can't really defend that. He was, yeah, I can't really defend the majority of his performance in that. He wasn't good enough. It's disappointing because I know we've seen he's a talented player in there, but it seems to be one every 5 performances he really turns up, and if he can get that consistency there, I think that's what we're all asking for, we all demand. But in that first half, Alex, I think the team, one word I've got is deflated. It wasn't as bad as the second half of the Arsenal game. However, there was, I think Rich is right, there was a plan to get to 0-0 at half time, but by Chowdhury giving that ball away in the first 4 minutes, for the 4th minute, I mean, it's going to turn the game on its head. And the fact that they got into the game and by half time they got in at 1-1, that must have been a great feeling for them.
Absolutely. And you know what? I don't want to harp on Chowdhury as much as some people have, because he didn't have a good game, and that's plain and simple. You could see it. We watched it. We witnessed it. Game's over. Let's move forward from that. But one of the things is that the pass that he gave up on that ended up turning into the Burnley goal, it reminded me of when we played Manchester United in the final game of last season.
And it was him again.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what it reminded me of, and it just seemed like he just stopped thinking, and that's unfortunate, And you got to move on from that. And he had the opportunity later to tie up the game, and he ended up booting the ball right into the ground. So you have that, but players have bad games, and you just got to look to that. And, hopefully, next game you can shake it off. But I think you got to give it to the boys, because they were able to really compose themselves. Falling 1-0 after 4 minutes. I think anybody would be clicking the panic button. I know everybody on Twitter was, so I can imagine them on the field. But they were able to compose themselves, and Nacho got a fantastic goal, and that really gets the monkey off his back, because he's I think that one of the biggest things is that everyone's been really dragging on him, and we know how Nacho really does play. He plays on confidence, and that's one of the types of goals that will just boost that confidence, which is key, especially with how Vardy has really just disappeared over the last few games. So for them to be able to really move into halftime square even, I think it was perfectly executed. After the first 4 minutes, the fact that they were able to come back and then move forward from that is just perfect. And like I said before, getting the point out of this game, I'll take it. It's better than a lot.
Totally agree. I think just coming from this now, I want to go back to the Kelechi Nacho goal. I think again, Kel's goal was crucial, but again, that goal when it went in, that was Rich. We just have to spend some time talking about that, because that was a sensational goal. Again, he did a couple of other good things in the game, but this will be the thing that will be talked about the most, and rightly so, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If that's Haaland or Messi or Ronaldo, it's talked about for years to come. And just like it wasn't when Vardy did it. It was incredible. It was that good. So, like as I've said several times, my girlfriend's not interested in football whatsoever. She was sat next to me on a laptop doing some work, and I literally slammed shut the laptop thing and told her to watch. Like she lost her mind at me, but I was like, you've got to watch this. And she was like, what? I was like, you've got to watch this goal. I was like, look at this. I was like, it's so difficult. But honestly, yes, Diego, I'm preaching. You're welcome. It's when
you have a goal like that, you have to pray for sure.
Yeah, I think he was. I'll tell you, but no, it was incredible. It was an absolutely incredible goal. The technique. The thing is, and this is what I said to my girlfriend. I said he just made that look easy. I said you don't realise how difficult that is. He's just made that look easy, which is incredible. So and his first touch, by the way, is incredible. I think he's got one of the best first touches in our team. Unfortunately, his second, third, fourth, and fifth is usually not as great. So but no, well played, and I'll thank Jehovah for that one. I don't care.
We're praising everybody for that. And another thing at the moment that we're going to get into as well. This is probably one of the highlights, as Glenn has put. So thanks for the comment, Glenn. Again, no injuries. This is a big thing, and now that because we can't afford to lose. If we lose a couple of more players, I mean, we are genuine. We're putting a hole in that barrel to try and scrape the other side of the barrel because there is just nobody else left, Alex. But again, playing this many teams from the first players, and if there was a couple of injuries, it could have been a very, very different game for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I was speaking to James earlier before even the game started, and he said, you know, if we draw this game and there's no injuries, fantastic. You know, if we lose this game and we have no injuries, I'll take it. You know, at this point of the season, you just take a game where you go, no injuries, perfect. So, you know, the fact that we can say that we drew, and then we have no injuries is fantastic, especially with how it seems every game there seems to be something going wrong. And my biggest concern right when I saw the lineup was Tielemans, because last game he looked absolutely gassed. And I'm like, oh, he's starting. So, you know, my first thought was, okay, he's probably going to get subbed off. And by the 25-minute mark, I started noticing that he didn't have anything left in the tank. And the fact that he played all 90 minutes was incredible to me because, you know, just the amount of minutes he's been playing this season is just remarkable. And the fact that he's, you know, remaining healthy, it's slightly terrifying.
Yes, and they were going to say I think he's rumored to be getting a new contract worth 100 grand at the moment, and rightfully so. I mean, if Slimani's on 80, and he's been taken away, give that bumper contract to Tielemans today, because again, Rich, he had so much work to do. Bearing in mind, he's the only out and out person to link the play. Well, again, Nacho was a little bit, but he was the player that was really stepping over. Right, give me the ball. I'll try and play other people in. And I thought today he was fantastic, especially in the second half when we'll probably get onto the substitutions that came on that really helped Leicester go and right. We can go and win this game. He was a key player for us.
He was the only one who looked to a really high level all the way through. There was something. I mean, Diego's just said it there. He played his heart out. There was a point I noticed where the Burnley played a crossfield ball. Yuri was on the side. He was actually challenging for the ball on this side. The guy played a crossfield ball. I think it went over to McNeil, and he absolutely sprinted.
Yes.
Like there was a player in between him and he went past him. And I thought, right, well, that shows the determination, the absolute guts that he has got. Because as Alex has said, he is out on his feet at the moment. But he's the only one that his touch was brilliant. He looked like there was a few passes that just went awry. But, you know, he looked slick. He looked dangerous. There was a few. I wish he'd have shot I think we all know the point when he ended up back. I was like, just shoot. And I was already standing up because I thought he's going to score. And then he just back-heeled it. And I was like, no. But, he has been, I mean, if James Justin was still playing, I'd still think that James Justin would probably be our player of the season. And obviously other injuries have just caused several issues, but Tielemans is the only one that's consistently looked to a high level, except when he's absolutely, knackered.
Yes.
But yeah, Ant's just said it there. He puts in 100% every single time. So,
yes.
Give him £100,000 contract, not a problem. Just keep him. Him. I'll be his personal car washer. I'll do whatever he needs. Stick it in the contract. I'll quit my job and do it. It's fine. We'll get there.
And then, and also, Rich is asking for 100 grand a week as well to do that as well. Just if you're watching,
obviously, yeah.
But yes, I think there was a couple of we've mentioned some good players, obviously with the likes of I'm just losing the will to live at the moment. Come on, with the likes of Tielemans. I was going to say Tavares because another comment threw me off. But again, Schmeichel, Alex, today we can't defend set pieces. We all know that we can't defend set piece to save our lives. But one man, we normally say he has one world class save. I've got one in the 37th minute. I was like, oh, there's the world class save order. Then he makes another one in 48 minutes, and I'm just look there going, if he's not, as I think you said off camera, if he doesn't play, we lose that game 3-1 easily. Yeah,
and I've said this many times before, but Schmeichel is world class. And today's just another example of his skill and his determination. He's a leader. You can hear him all the time, just yelling, motivating the players. And that's one thing. But, just to come in, at any opportunity and make a world-class save is just, is spectacular to watch. And like you said, without him in net, completely different outcome. We'd be like, we lost this game. Why? Well,
We
Schmeichel
can't defend set pieces.
yeah,
Blah,
we
blah.
can't defend set pieces. We don't have a keeper that can save. But Schmeichel's there, and Schmeichel's been there all season, and he's been one of the keepers, in my opinion, that has not been talked enough. Not only in the Prem, but I think in all of football. Just the way that he's so composed. And, I think if you remove Schmeichel from this lineup from the start of the season till now, we are not even close to having a discussion that we are top 4. I think we'd be definitely in the lower tier of this table. And, Schmeichel saved us more than once, more than twice, probably more than 5 times this season.
Yes,
and,
easy.
You just got to give him, hats off to him because, even at the age of 34, he's still bringing it. And that's just, that is fantastic and just a sight to see.
Yes, and one thing as well, he doesn't be quiet. Andrew, thank you for the comment, but a lot of great things. There's not been a lot of great things, but hearing Schmeichel yelling during the game's been one of the highlights. Swear words and all, to be fair. Then I've heard the commentators go, "Oh, sorry about that." Kind of like it's their fault, but it is what it is at the moment. But again, Rich, we just have to stay on Schmeichel for a little bit because he's just been insane.
Yeah, I mean, Ant just put there, I think the second one was one of the saves of the season, and I think he's got a really good, there's a really good shout at that. But I tell you, the one that sort of sticks for me, and I can't remember who it was against, but he went with his, so he was diving to his left and he saved it with his right hand. I want to say it was against Wolves, but I might be wrong. But it was going top bins. It was going top bins. No one was stopping that, and he just somehow he just got his paw to it out of nowhere, and I was just like, where it was just incredible. And we could go on and on. We were talking about him a few post matches ago, where we were saying about how there was a really close header, and his hand came out of nowhere and saved it. How many times have we talked about his saves and how incredible he's been? And let's also talk about his distribution today, which was really good. Yes. There was a couple of times he sent us away. He gets knocked for his distribution. There was also, there was a particular podcast I was listening to a while ago where they were saying that he should be dropped for Ward because his distribution was that bad. And I was, my point was, first of all, that's ridiculous. But also his saves are worth goals. So, exactly. Like you said, it's 3-1.
It's like criticising Jamie Vardy for not getting back enough. It's like, well, that's not the point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, he has been incredible all season. He's probably been one of our players of the season, to be fair, as well. Yes. And I mean, they always say, obviously, for a goalkeeper, 34 is their sort of prime. So I'm hoping that he can keep it going for another few years still. But yeah, I mean, what? Yeah.
As well.
That was ridiculous. I swear he's got cement in his gloves for that. That was unbelievable, like all the way up his arm. But yeah, no, incredible. And hats off to him. He's been incredible all season.
Yeah, he's been absolutely insane. I'd actually want to bring it on to one thing. As from a Leicester fan, they've gone, Burnley deserve the win, to be fair. And I think, I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree. Not because in terms of opportunities, that again, how many saves did Pope have to make compared to Schmeichel? In that case, yes, we tried. We didn't get as many opportunities away. I wouldn't say that we completely deserve to win. It would be like a couple of points or so. However, Burnley deserve a lot of credit, and we matched them the majority of the time, pace for pace. And they knew where we were weak at, which they got the ball wide and they whipped in crosses and they tried to realise that we aren't strong in the air. And a lot of the time, the ball was just falling in the middle. Somebody was just booting it away. So I think Burnley do deserve a lot of credit, Alex, because I think they were really, really good. They were great today, but we equaled them with how good we were.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with Burnley deserving the win. Now, Burnley was very good at executing, attacking, and, they really maintained and were able to track, where we weren't positioning properly. And they found the holes in our defense. We're very lucky that we have Schmeichel because, like I said, different story if we don't have him. But, we matched in our own way. We capitalized when we could. We counterattacked when we could. We ended up scoring. So, at the end of the day, the way I view this is that both teams deserve the point, and the right result was awarded in a draw. That's that's just the way I kind of view it, because if Burnley scored another goal, then I go, yeah, Burnley deserved the 3 points. But at the end of the day, Schmeichel's there. He makes fantastic saves. Keeps the boys in it, and we're looking at a 1-1 draw. The way I view it is just both teams played well. Maybe one player on Leicester played better than the entire rest of the club, and that's Schmeichel. But at the end of the day, the result is the same as what I think it is, and that's what I expected, to be honest. I didn't expect us to win. I didn't expect Burnley to win. I was kind of expecting a draw, and yeah, I think the points were just exactly how the results shown. Both teams deserve a point from this game.
Yes, I think to your point, I think we do. The draw was the correct example. However, if you look at the amount of shots on target and things like that, they did have more. So I'm not saying that they completely deserve to win hands down. It was a small margin. But just I think, as Rich mentioned earlier, coming over to you, Rich, again, there was 2 substitutions that were made just before 70 minutes when, again, Leicester just kicked it into the game. Nacho and Mendy came off, which I was surprised that Chowdhury didn't come off, to be honest. I was surprised to see Mendy come off over Chowdhury, because Mendy was doing okay. He was doing the basics, doing it right. Didn't do anything spectacular, but did things right. So Mendy and Nacho came off, and Albright Fofana came on. Straight away, there was just a change in the team. Part of it was, again, these 2 substitutions come on. Part of it, in my opinion, was Wilfred Ndidi going into that CDM role. It was just a whole team change, and it's brilliant to see. Ricardo pushed further up on that right-hand side, became a lot more focused in the game. And then Tielemans was being able to play in that number 8 cam role that he likes to play more as well. So, again, I think that's, again, from what you were saying as well, it's a really good tactical substitution in order to potentially go and win the game.
Yeah, I think I will answer just quickly to touch on what you've just previously said and what Alex said there about Burnley winning the game or deserved to win. Sorry, I think I do kind of agree, but I also, what I think is that, let's say Burnley were playing an 8 out of 10 today. I'm just picking a 3. We were probably playing a 6. So if, you know what I mean, if we match them on regards to our levels, we beat them all day long. So I think that, yes, to be honest, I put it this way. I said to you, Neil, I said, I'd like it if we snatched a goal. To me, that says that we didn't deserve to win. So I don't think we deserve to win. If anyone did, I would agree it was probably them. But I think that I agree that the draw is the fair result. Anyway, to answer your question, yeah, I think the change of shape really helped, as you say, getting Ndidi into that position that he's much better at. Also gave us a lot more overlap options on the wing. So we suddenly seemed a bit more dangerous. And I just think that it shored things up. Fofana just, thank God he's back, by the way. Talking about knowing that we've also got Fofana back. So for me, it was a really interesting change. Albrighton just seemed to look 10 years younger. He just absolutely was. The turning is, he was turning on a penny. It was unbelievable. So for me, I think that the change of the shape, the reinvigorated, the energy, it really helped us. And also having that height of Fofana, and I'm pretty sure that was a part of it as well, because obviously Fofana he's ridiculous, got a ridiculous jump on him, and he's also pretty tall. So yeah, I think it shored up the defence, but also gave us a bit more attacking moving forward, even though we brought Iheanacho off, which I know a lot of people have already said, take Vardy off over Iheanacho at the moment. And it's hard to disagree, to be honest with you, because I'm not convinced by Vardy at the moment.
No.
But yeah, I think it was a really good tactical change, and then bringing on Tavares. I would have liked to have seen him have a little bit more time, but again, damned if you do, damned if you don't for Brendan Rodgers. So, but no, it definitely helped.
Exactly. And again, Diego Cantor says the same thing. I'd like to see Tavares come on earlier. And I do agree. I think it would be nice to see him come on. But again, that's his first cameo in the Premier League. But where do you think what do you think of him overall, Alex?
I like him. I think I still need to see more from him. But in order to see more from him, he needs to play more. So I was hoping that he would play a little bit more today. I'm hoping that when we play this weekend, he'll have a more of an opportunity to, show his talents. That's one of the biggest things that I was hoping that we would see today. And, when you bring him in that late into a game, he's only warming up. And then by the time he's warmed up, pretty much the game's over. So, I'm hoping that when we do play this weekend, he'll have that opportunity to really showcase and see what he can do on a broader scale. But overall, from the little bit that I have seen, I am impressed.
Yes.
He is young, and I think we need to be patient. And there's a lot of, not saying it's everybody. There are fans though that are like, he's not good enough. It's like, you haven't seen him play.
He's 19.
Give the guy a chance. And I think that's one of the things that we need to be patient with, and especially in this time where there's so many injuries. You have to allow these players and these young kids to come in, figure it out, give them time. Because if someone comes on and botches something 20 minutes into a game, you can't be like, oh, he's terrible, get him off the pitch. It's just like he's 19, So that's one thing. And then a second thing I just was more surprised about, just kind of bringing it back to what Rich said, with VAR, I was more surprised that Nacho got brought off rather than Vardy. I will say that, because I think Nacho was our best player on the pitch for most of the game. So when they brought him off, I was quite surprised, considering that Vardy seemed like he was a ghost today. I didn't notice him. And to say that about, Jamie Vardy is just absolutely mind-blowing. So, and I do agree with that. I don't think Vardy is fully fit. I think there's something going on. And that conversation that nobody really wants to bring up about Vardy, I think Father Time is slowly catching up to him. And, that conversation is going to happen. It's going to be another day that we're probably going to bring that up. But, I think that discussion needs to start being talked about, because we need to, we need to come to terms that there's going to be a Leicester City post Jamie Vardy. It's a conversation that does not want to be had, but it needs to be had whenever that is.
I agree with you, and I think there is a conversation that needs to be had. However, just with the current state and how many games are being come through at the moment, that does change things. If we're playing once a week, then I think we see Jamie Vardy rested, come back, and he's firing. For example, when we're playing a lot of the time, again, Ant is just being Ant. We're not getting Morales. I can't criticize anybody for spelling, to be honest. I'll be quiet about that one. Yeah, in terms of Jamie Vardy, I think he will come good eventually. He will be there, but just the amount of games and the reliance we have on him, like to score a goal, because again, Nacho, his decision making is better than Nacho's. He's more of a team player than Nacho in the sense of as a striker. A couple of opportunities saw, right? Nacho's got the whole pitch, and there was runners going past both Vardy and Nacho as well, going left and right, and he just had to go right, pick the pass in case he made a shot and it goes over wide. So I understand, but however, that goal was obviously, we'll say it again, it is changing. However, I don't think it's easy to write off Vardy now. It's just because we haven't got anybody there as a like for like replacement at the moment, and it's just it's a bit of a shame to see, but there's nothing really we can do at the moment, Rich. It's just he has to play because everybody else is injured, and we've seen before when Vardy is injured, we're all praying for him get back and get on the pitch as soon as possible, even if you've got one leg attached to you.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I think it is that it's a really difficult situation, because even Brendan has said, I was listening to his. Go on, Anne, you keep it going, mate. Yeah. Brendan Rodgers said in his pre-match interview that he wants to rest him. He really wants to rest him, but he just can't at the moment. And it's a difficult, it's a difficult situation. I mean, going quickly just back to Tavares, something that Alex picked up on there, and obviously he's only he's 19, he's not had enough time. Think back to Harvey Barnes' first performance, Porto away, 5-0, we lose. But he's gone on to be one of our best players. You just have to blood them in, and you have to give them time. So it's he's gonna be something special. Let's hopefully if we can give him time, it potentially is going to be one of those where he goes away on loan, depending on obviously what happens in the transfer window. I doubt it for a while, but he might need a bit of game time elsewhere, because Anne pointed out that he's brilliant in the 23s, but as he says, it's a big step, and couldn't agree with that more.
Where's it
Yeah,
gone?
exactly. Yeah, he is. Yeah, exactly. He's going to be an absolute baller. But just going back to your point about Vardy, it is a difficult situation. It's one of those that you go, oh, maybe if he just gets one. Also, he's not getting the service that he would like. There has been a few instances where he's been through, and like I said, I've said it on this podcast a few times now, that I would, that he's missed chances that I'd put my house on him scoring. He has missed prime Jamie Vardy chances. However, I think he just needs one of those. He needs a through ball that he's run onto, although he looks like he's lost a yard of pace, unfortunately. And then, popping it through, scoring, and then it's like, okay, there we go. There's the Vardy we all love. And also, I do think that having him in the team makes the opposition set up differently.
Yes,
so
exactly.
there is also that to consider. So, he brings more than just goals.
You could. I was listening to another part again, as you were saying, I was listening to another one regarding Jamie Vardy as well, and having a look at the English strikers at the moment. And the issue with Jamie Vardy is, well, it's not a major issue, but towards the beginning of the season, he was on fire. 6 of his 12 goals have been through penalties. Yeah. So if you look at it that way as well, he's not actually been as amazing in front of goal as we would like as well. Again, he's popped up with vital goals again in the Europa League as well, which has been really important to mention. It's not all doom and gloom. However, it is. I think we've ran our course with Jamie Vardy playing every single game, and this has only amplified it this season and made it more obvious that we don't have a backup. Somebody said we could have done with Gray and Slim at the moment. Yes, but that's, what can you do? We wouldn't have expected to be here. So again, with the 2 wingers that we've got in Under, that's one thing I wanted to come on to. Under is we are not set. We are not bringing him in at all, are we, Alex?
No, and I think I said this last, post match. This is prime, Under time to shine. Barnes is out. You're the next winger. You would think. The fact that he's not even getting slotted in, coming in as a sub, his time in Leicester City is over. I would be shocked to see him on the field at any point for the rest of this season. And I know that's a pretty big statement, but I believe it. With the amount of injuries that you have right now, you would expect, plug in a winger when you lose a winger. And he's not plugged in. And I think that's the statement right there. This would be prime time for him to shine. And under it all, no pun intended, he's not being chosen. And it's as simple as that. And, I'm very glad that it was an option to buy. Because it gave us the opportunity to really look at him and see if he meshed well with the squad, and he clearly doesn't. He's more of an attacking mindset and doesn't contribute to the defensive side of things. And and one of the other things that I've really picked up on him is that he holds onto the ball for way too long, and perfectly said, he's selfish. He looked for the the star-studded goal rather than Nacho or Vardy is open. I can make that pass. We can score. He goes, okay, how can I score from this angle? And that's one of the things I've really noticed over this season whenever he does play is that he doesn't have the he can't see from all angles where he's narrow. He looks at things in a narrow view, whereas, a lot of other players have a much wider scope. And, that playmaking capacity, he's very much attacking, not the same mindset, not the same forward thinking that, Leicester City is. So I'm glad that moving forward, he'll go back to Roma and that'll be the end of it, unfortunately, because, I had high hopes for him. But moving forward, we just got to figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think you're right in terms of what else can we have done, and we've given the opportunities to come off the bench, and towards the beginning of the season he was scoring some again against Arsenal, brilliant run and cross in, but I think his work off the ball, as you were saying, and his defensive side is something that a Brendan Rodgers side we need it to be better, and he hasn't quite got that. Again, it was his opportunity to shine with Barnes coming out of the team, and if you look at a like for like replacement, it does feel better. I think he will go on to do good things. However, maybe in the Bundesliga, in maybe the Italian league would be another good example of it, where you're not playing, where you can kind of take a player on, like Mahrez used to do, take a player on. If it doesn't work, no matter, the team will come up in behind you. But in the Premier League and the way that Brendan Rodgers wants to play, it's not going to happen. And again, we are glad that he's not going to be probably most likely he's not going to be bought this season, and that can be we can use that for other players because bearing in mind Gray's gone out as well, and now we've got Barnes out. That'll leave us with it will leave us with Albrighton and Barnes. That might be our only two wingers in the entire squad. And that's definitely something we have to improve on. But that'll be another conversation for the summer, especially with the transfer windows and everything. But again, both teams hit the post. One, again, I think it was Westwood or Brownhill. I can't remember the name of the Burnley one. But that outside, it was from behind the goal. It looked beautiful as it was curving in. Then we hit the goal with Hillemans. It is an equal game overall. And Rich, I'm glad that we've got something out of this. And also, I think I was saying this off camera to Alex as well. It will be interesting to see from the fallout of this game how the media perceive this as either they could take it both ways. They can go, Leicester were brilliant. Leicester have loads of injuries. They take a point away at Burnley. Fantastic. Or you could go, what happened to Leicester? This is the downfall. They lost one and now they drew one to Burnley. All wheels are coming off the bandwagon. So which way do you think it will go in that aspect?
I think it'll go a different way altogether. I think that they'll forget that Burnley played Leicester. I think that they just played no one because obviously we don't exist to anyone else, So, they'll just say Burnley drew. Burnley drew. That'll be it. No, it could go either way. To be honest with you, it's one of those situations I don't really pay too much attention because I get so frustrated when I do because it's like you just said. It's usually, Leicester, the wheels are falling off. I mean, there's so many. You often wonder whether it's just actually that they're following on from the vocal side of Twitter and going right. Oh, that's they're the vocal. That's the vocal area who are saying that Leicester have fallen off. I've seen it loads. I saw it. Last week. One of the Leicester fans and she put a tweet just saying, that's it. Top four gone. Might as well give up now. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, like, what is wrong with you? It's just crazy. But I know why they're doing it, by the way. It's so that if we don't get top four, they can go, see, told you so.
Yeah.
But
I was the first person.
Yeah. But if we do, then it's great. They go, oh, brilliant. That's amazing. So it's being negative. So you can't be wrong. And it's like, right, just have a bit more about you than that. And how about show some faith? How about show some support to your team? And let's just try and get on. So it was a case of we did the best we could with the team we've got, and with the tired legs. We look at it and we look back at the season. If we get top four this season, which I still strongly believe we will, by the way, it is incredible, absolutely incredible with the amount of injuries we've constantly had. It would be an incredible season, and it would be, obviously it's never going to go to the accolades of winning the Premier League, and it shouldn't really. But to get us, it's up there. It is incredible with the amount of injuries we've had and to our top players. It's not as if we're losing players who are fringe players and we go, oh, it's a shame we haven't got a decent backup now. That's our first team squad gone. So if we can get top four this season, which I truly believe we will, then I will be absolutely over the moon. And fair play to us.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for as well. It does put us in again another point towards that. Just as we said about the Wolves game, it was a 0-0 draw, but we got a point on the board rather than getting a win. It's still a good point, Alex, and moves us towards the right direction.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think a lot of fans forget. I think a lot of people look at draws as a negative, result, but you need to also consider the fact that, it's still a point. It's still a point to our advantage. If you look at the table right now, we're sitting on 50 points. That just pushes us a further point ahead in the top four. And depending on what the results are later this week when everyone else plays, it could be huge. If one team loses or another team loses, it could really start separating that gap between fourth or fifth. Because we're still remaining in third place. So that you might see that 4-5 point gap turn into with a win on this weekend, you could be looking at an 8-point gap or whatever. So I think you just need to remain optimistic and positive because it's so easy to look at a result like this and be like, we tied. We got a point, but it's not good enough. You need to look at it being like, we have been heavily, dealing with injuries. We are not at full capacity. We are, exhausted. These players are given 120%, every game, and we're pulling out a result like this. I'm very glad. Like I said before, we're at 50 points this season.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
We've played this entire year with injuries. And to say that we're still where we are, and an outcome, especially today with the lineup that we are currently playing with, it's fantastic. So just keep on looking at these draws as a positive, because if we get one this weekend, I'll gladly take 2 points out of these 2 games, especially with our bare bone squad right now.
Yeah, and that's I think a good point to end on as well, because we're just waiting for that result to kind of the break to kind of hopefully just bring everything back together. Go right, rest, recoup, because I think we were saying it's so easy to get lost, and there was so much rubbish on Twitter about how we're terrible and stuff after the Arsenal game, which I get, but there was no nuance to it. There was no context to it. There was just people liking to complain, and I think that's kind of stupid in that instance to say, oh well, we've lost, we're terrible, and everything just turns on as quickly as Mark Albrighton turned today. Everything turns in that instance, because it's not good enough, but it's not good enough for people to say, in my opinion. So anyway, I've got one message just before, because I don't think we're going to get time to do a pre-match before Brighton. I'll start with you, Rich. What are you thinking before this game? Because again, until that game, then we've got the 8 games rest. What do you think? Playing away to Brighton.
I think we'll win that one, and to be honest with you, I slightly disagree with Alex on that one, because it's Brighton. I will see a draw as a loss against Brighton with our team. We've beat them in the FA Cup. We can beat them. We can beat them seriously. Today, Burnley, I really rate Burnley. Really rate them. I think they are an absolute workhorse of a team, and anyone that gets results against Burnley, fair play to you. They can have their off game, as anyone can, but I rate them. Brighton, we've got their number. We can beat them. We are the better squad. We are just the better team with the better squad, and I think that we've got those few days rest. I know it's nothing special, but I think we will do it. So for me, I would take the 4 points out of the 2 games. I wouldn't. I'd be if we draw that one or lose, especially, I will be disappointed. But I see us winning it. I see us doing okay. I think we've got enough in our arsenal to pull that one out of the bag and get the result. And then, like you say, have the rest, recuperate, get James Maddison back. He's due to be back on the grass by the weekend. Not obviously, he won't be ready for the weekend, but Brendan Rodgers was saying he's hopefully getting him out on the grass, doing a light training and movement stuff by the weekend. So we should hopefully have him back soon. So for me, let's get this. Let's just get these players back in, and we should win it. We should get it.
And another player as well, Dennis Pratt, who's again is one of the biggest losses, especially when other teams have pulled out, because the versatility of him and the legs in him. Hopefully, again, the same thing that Rich was saying, they said about Fofana for this game, that he was just warming up and getting back in the team. So again, hopefully that can bring the best out of if Pratt returns as well, that will be brilliant as well. What over to you, Alex, before we finish. Just what are your thoughts on the Brighton match, and what do you think we can get out of the game?
I think we can win it. I when I did say, if we get a draw, I'll take it. I do want the win. And I think we can win, no problem. Even with with all these injuries, we always seem to have Brighton's number. But I'm extremely, I hate predicting. That's one of my biggest things that I hate predicting. But I still think that we can beat Brighton, not a problem. I'm hoping that we can see younger players take the pitch. That's one thing that I'm hoping we can see from this game. Because there's part of me that says, line up, play the best starting 11 you can. But at the same time,
we don't have them.
No,
that's the thing.
But if you could sub, but in a game like this, if you can give the opportunity to some of the younger players, I would take that advantage. If you could rest some of your older players who've been gassed this entire, for the last couple of weeks, an extra day off. So, I'm feeling confident. I think today was the game that I ultimately believe that if we lost Burnley in a way where we didn't deserve it at all, I would be concerned against Brighton. But I think the way that we performed today against Burnley, we should have no issue against Brighton.
Yes, it could have been a lot worse, in my
Yeah.
opinion, a lot worse of a performance. And
Exactly.
the fact the team was willing to grind out and fight for the manager, because they could have threw in the towel, kind of like they did against Arsenal.
Yes.
So it's very easy to say that, but yeah, again, we could talk for another half an hour, and we've already got to 45 minutes. So thank you for the 9 of you that have stayed on this long. We really, really appreciate it, because it again, we could talk about this forever, but I'm just concerned that we're getting a bit too much. But I'd like to thank Rich and Alex once again. Their Twitters, everything will be in the description down below. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and thank you for making it so far and all the support you've given us over the past season. Thank you for 300 subscribers as well. We really appreciate it, and we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.